So Taylor Swift has announced new music coming out soon, and she also appears to be going out with a QAnon shaman. And let's just say the reaction to this has been pretty, like, I don't know what the word is, more hostile than I'd expect. So if you're new to my channel, I'm not scared of Taylor Swift fans. I've made a couple videos on Taylor Swift's like new music being pretty bad. And my girlfriend, who's a music journalist, came on to discuss it with me. And my girlfriend is a fairly big fan of Taylor Swift, and she's liked a lot of her music, but she really wasn't a big fan of the latest album. And she told me actually before I filmed this, she's called that album like a data dump. And our main criticism of the album, beyond some of like the pretty cringeworthy, childish lyrics, was just like there's so much of it. It just feels like it's designed to clog up like streaming charts and stuff like that. I still feel that way, and I still feel her music has both gotten worse and is annoying for being everywhere. But at the same time, I can't deny she has like talent. I like a few of her songs. I particularly like her collaborations with Bon Eva as well. And I would say to people excited about the album, like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being excited about it. And what we're going to discuss today is why people are actually pretty hostile to it. My main takeaway is that I think people now, in the era we're living in, they're just kind of sick of cultural things that start dominating everything. And I think also we live in an era where people aren't really shying away from conservative politics anymore. So we're going to talk about that as well, because what a lot of people have been saying is like, how can I care about Taylor Swift when like this famine in Gaza is happening and all this terrible shit is happening in America, and she hasn't said anything, and her music is like so divorced from reality in terms of what she even talks about in her songs is very like unrelatable. It exists in this bubble. So even as like a musician, there's nothing really relatable about her. So her work is just like pure, I guess, distraction. And I will say to people, like, despite that being true, I do think it is really dystopian for all this stuff to exist in the same world. Like, just pretending like there isn't the worst crimes against humanity going on right now. I will also say it's fine to be excited about consumer products. It's fine to enjoy consumer products, and you can care about both. I do think it's important to link like the ruling class in America, which Taylor Swift kind of is part of, with what's happening right now. But at the same time, like, I listened to that new Kings of Leon song with Zach Bryan. I didn't know much about this guy. Apparently, he had a picture with Trump at the Super Bowl or something. I listened to like a fair few musicians who have like actually bad politics. Like, Taylor Swift doesn't really compare in that regard. I think the backlash is a bit just complex, and I think there's various different issues. I think there's obviously, you know, part of it is misogyny. Part of it is just people can be too much. I think Jennifer Lawrence even spoke about this before there was a backlash against her for being everywhere, is that people love you and then they get sick of you because they see you everywhere. And I think Taylor Swift is having that moment as well. But I do think the political angle is important to focus on. I heard Hassan talking about this on stream as well.
Timeline now. I don't think it's unfair for me to say that any fucking media figure at this stage that still remains silent on Israel's genocide in Gaza is being a little bit of a coward. Is that really unfair of me to say? Am I being out of pocket? Like, I'm not expecting her to fucking carry the banner over here, you know? I'm simply saying, like, it'd be nice for such a prominent figure with so much influence to greatly expand the permission structure. And at this point, it's not even an expansion of the permission structure, to be fair. At this point, it's basically to, you know, to save her, to save good favor for her. Because I feel like Miss Rachel was right when she said, you know, it's more of a problem it's more of a problem for you now to not speak out.
So it's not something that no one is speaking about, but I do want to talk about all this today. But before we go any further, if you want to support my channel, check out my Patreon, check out my YouTube memberships. If you want to follow me on social media, follow me at the Kavernacle on Blue Sky and on Instagram. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like after you've watched it and maybe subscribe to the channel for more. So basically, if you guys have missed it, I'm sure you haven't, and that's like saying something about Taylor Swift, is she announced new music on her boyfriend and her boyfriend's brother's podcast. Obviously, one is an NFL player, one is a former NFL player, and she dropped her music on this, and which seems like it's a way to help boost his media brand. I read that GQ interview with him before I made this video. He was talking about like might be his last season in football. So it's pretty clear, while this podcast is big, getting Taylor Swift to announce new music on the podcast is like a massive deal, because loads of people that don't know anything about the podcast will be tuning in for the first time. And also, loads of people who listen to the podcast already for like NFL stuff are now being exposed to Taylor Swift. So it's obviously part of a wider push where the NFL were even posting about Taylor Swift, because the NFL absolutely love that she is dating an NFL football player. So I did see a lot of like Taylor Swift fans not too happy about announcing on this podcast, but I think this also plays into the negative reaction, and what we're going through culturally is that Travis Kelce is friends with pretty hardcore MAGA people, and Taylor Swift has been spotted with them like hanging out recently. And when we're in a moment where like Trump is actually like enacting fascism in America, and your boyfriend and you are palling around these people in a very conservative dominated industry like the NFL, while at the same time historically having a more progressive image as an artist, you can understand why people are just kind of like, this is giving me bad vibes. So you might have seen this because people were making a big deal about it. There's a podcast called Bussin' with the Boys. Don't know who the fuck these people are, but they obviously posted with Trump and they endorsed Trump. And then Taylor Swift posted with them more recently. So people are like, you know, she obviously has no problem with Travis Kelce maybe being a Republican and his Republican friends. And also the fact that Travis Kelce said it was a great honor to have Trump at the Super Bowl, saying it's a great honor. I think, you know, no matter who the president is, I'm excited because it's the biggest game of my life. Having the president there in the best country in the world, that's pretty cool. Obviously, he's saying that about someone who said he hated his girlfriend. But on threads, which I rarely go on, but this is how I kind of saw the reaction, people were having like a very, very negative reaction to all of this because of just like everything to do with Taylor Swift now. Because she's a billionaire. People are mad about the private jet thing anyway. Less people are mad, but there's still a lot of people mad about the sweatshop label that makes her merch. And some people who love music kind of don't like what she represents in terms of like her songs feeling like they're written by AI. I said that last year. It's like a similar criticism you hear about Ed Sheeran, in that they make songs like you can listen to and that like, I don't know, your brain enjoys as background noise maybe, but it's really nothing special. And the fact that her music is so self-centered and is so detached from actually society and reality, I feel like people are just not relating to it anymore. So on threads, you just see so many posts like these, like the most upvoted posts. So Swifties, please, Taylor is being held accountable for claiming to be on the right side of history, but refusing to divest from white supremacy and surrounding herself with known supporters of the current regime while ignoring Palestine. She brought this on herself. Practice what you preach. That got like thousands of uploads. I wish Taylor Swift would come out as MAGA. Hey Swifties, there's no such thing as a good billionaire. At this point, Taylor Swift should quietly remove her Miss Americana documentary from streaming. To quote Blondie, I've never heard silence quite this loud. One interesting thing about Taylor Swift is that with the money she already has, she could arrange for enough aid to feed Gaza for several days without actually becoming poor. Another interesting thing is that she's been entirely silent on what's happening in Palestine and spends her time socializing with MAGA. Taylor Swift's activism is performative. She's not the ally she claims she is, and her fans try to say she is. She hasn't said a word about Palestine, hasn't denounced the ICE raids. She simply doesn't care. Not sure what you expect from a billionaire. Another one, she's just another billionaire white woman who treats activism like a limited edition merch drop, only rolling it out when it's profitable or personally relevant. As a white woman myself, I know exactly how dangerous and self-serving our demographic can be. I see her exactly for who she is. So anyway, the comments just continue like this. Like, people on threads are very much not happy with Taylor Swift announcing this new music. And I agree with a lot of those points to some extent. I do believe if you have a massive platform, you should be saying something. I think in Taylor Swift's case, especially, is she's not just a musician, because there are loads of musicians that aren't celebrities. I would say like Kings of Leon are obviously famous as a band and their music is famous, but it's not like Caleb, the lead singer, is like some massive celebrity. Like, no one gives a shit what he does in his day-to-day life. Where Taylor Swift, as like a singular artist, has become this celebrity. She is one of the most famous people in the world, is the most successful artist, and she also cultivates that parasociality with her fans, and she does make political endorsements. And now it seems like she doesn't really give a shit about that, and she is benefiting off her association to more conservative-leaning people. She's not even trying to hide it. And in the world that we're living in, seeing a billionaire drop new music, which, if it follows the patterns of her last few albums, is going to be about like previous relationships or very, very unrelatable stuff, you can understand why people are just not going to vibe with it at the current moment. Again, I feel like maybe people are being a bit too harsh on fans of his music, saying that like you're a bad person if you're excited for the Taylor Swift album. I feel like it's putting too much blame on the consumer, but I think you can be outraged at Taylor Swift or not care about her in that her music lyrically exists in a vacuum and her brand exists in a vacuum, in that it doesn't seem to be affected at all by anything happening in the world. And as this artist with a huge platform who clearly has some sort of political influence, because she is sought after to make political endorsements, she is saying nothing as her own country spirals into fascism, and it's her own country enacts like some of the worst crimes against humanity abroad. And I think it's just like a general apathy we're seeing across like younger generations now with, oh yeah, the celebrity I love and I feel like was a good person really doesn't give a shit about me. And I think that's a good thing to realize and break out of that parasociality that yes, she is not going to say anything about stuff you care about. She's not going to use her platform or her influence to do anything like that. She's not going to risk anything. And she's someone who could risk load of stuff and still be very successful and very famous, but she's not going to do that. And you just have to learn that about most wealthy people. Sure, I'm not surprised someone like her is not talking about like Palestine at all, but you are right as a fan who's funded her and has supported her to feel annoyed about that, because she does have such a public persona which is absolutely everywhere. And now it seems like she's getting even more personal by going on like this sort of podcast with her boyfriend, where you feel like she could maybe even express herself even more. But don't hold your breath, Taylor Swift fans. It's probably not going to happen. And like I said, enjoy her music, like her music, be excited for the new album and whatever. But also, you're not wrong for feeling cynical, because I feel that all the time. It's like, oh, I'm excited for something new. I'm excited for new music. I'm excited for all this stuff. But when it feels so detached from like what we're all collectively experiencing right now in Western countries, there is something in your brain that goes, oh, like, you know, it just feels weird supporting this. And it also, there is something that feels validating when art we like kind of recognizes the moment we're living in. So I think that's why people, not music of course, resonated with Andor so much, because they're like this is clearly influenced by the time we're living in. Like both seasons are. And I feel like it is like reflecting our society back at us and telling us like why it's so bad. And although it's depressing in a way, it at least feels like it's not ignoring certain things. And plenty of celebrities, including plenty of artists, are not ignoring it. So when like loads of artists are so vocal, who have a lot more to lose, and you've seen that across the UK happening recently, and when the bigger ones don't have as much to lose but won't say anything, I can understand why you get so much frustration, especially now she's cozying up more with people who are actually like hardcore MAGA supporters and likely will be for the foreseeable future. So I can totally understand the apathy, at least, of, oh my God, here comes Taylor Swift with a new data dump of just like consumer AI slop music, and also trying to generate hype for it and cultivate more parasociality. So we should be also excited by all the Easter eggs in it. But at the same time, there is absolutely terrible shit going on, supported by people who are friends with someone very close to her. I can understand why that gives people just like a general ick and turns people off the music or whatever. So I just thought I'd make a quick one on that. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.